Hi, it's Danny here and welcome to another Tech Fix video. In this video I want to take a look at Google's spreadsheet tool, Google Sheets. You find Google Sheets the same way you find all the other Google Drive files. If you're already in your Google account, click on the waffle up in the top right corner and you can choose Google Drive from up there. Obviously then once you are in Google Drive, top left corner, New, click on New, and then you can choose Google Sheets from there. If I click on that, I'll give myself a blank spreadsheet. So if you're used to spreadsheets already, then there's not a lot in Google Sheets that'll surprise you. If you are completely new, then I'll just run through a few of the basic features. In the spreadsheet, we have the columns and we have the rows. You can change the size of the columns and the rows just by clicking on the line in between each column. So between A and B, and I can make that wider, I can make that narrower, and I can make the rows bigger, I can make the rows smaller. All the basic stuff you can do in Microsoft Excel, you can do in Google Sheets, so enter formula, conditional formatting, graphs and charts. So let's just start with some simple things. If you're entering information, let's just click in a cell here and I'm going to type something in. So if I type in Monday, when you hit enter, by default it goes down to the new row. I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to bounce around. Now I could type in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but what's quite nice is if I click in Monday, in the bottom right corner of that cell I can see a little sort of square. When I put my mouse over it, my mouse pointer changes to a little crosshair. When it's the crosshair, I can drag and I can drag out. Likewise I can do January, and I can drag that out as well if I want to. If I'm entering in data in a cell, once you've got a couple of cells in there, click and drag to highlight all three cells, and I can drag down to continue the sequence for as long as I want to carry that on. I'll show you some examples of a few sort of partially made spreadsheets and how you might interact with the data. So I'm going to close this down and go to my training spreadsheet here. So what I've got here is a spreadsheet that's already filled in with simple information. This could be an activity you're doing with children, looking at filtering and sorting and extracting information. Okay, so I want to sort the information in this table. Let's pick a column. So let's pick size. I'm going to highlight all of my data in the spreadsheet. I'll go to data and sort range. And I tick the box here for data has a header row. That makes sure that the top row there does not get sorted, that stays put. And I'm going to sort by name or legs or eyes or colour or wings. It's picking in the data from that header row. Let's do size in centimetres from Z to A, which means from the biggest down to the smallest. Let's say sort, and it'll do that for me. I can do it again if I highlight that cell. If I go data, sort range, data has header row, and I can do by legs, and I click on sort, it'll now sort it by number of legs. I can also filter, so if I highlight and I can click over here on create a filter, and if you see now the top of each column has these little lines at the top, I can filter by colour. At the moment you can see all those things are ticked. I want to just untick all of those as I just really want to have yellow, and I'll say OK, and that'll just show me the yellow. So I can go on to select all, which selects all of the conditions, back to OK, and we're back to where we were before. I can do the same thing with wings. I can do no or yes. If I say OK, we just have the yeses there. If I go back to the filter, I can turn, and now I'm searching for all the people who have all the insects have no wings. I can say OK. So it's quite easy to filter this. If this is the big set of class information, if this was student data and we're finding all the students of a particular level. So that's sorting and filtering. Quite good if you've got a lot of information and you want to make it easy to handle on the screen. Let's look at some other features now. I'm going to change to another one of my pre-made sheets, and what I want to look at here is just some simple formulae. So I've got some simple weather information. Let's see if we can get an average temperature. I'm going to click on the end of the row here and we're going to find out an average data. So I'm going to click on the end here and I'm going to choose average, and I'm going to select the range I want to do an average of and hit return, and that will throw in here my average of those 5 columns there. Now I could click in the cells below and repeat what I've just done, but an easy thing to do is to click on that 28, go to the little square in the bottom of that cell, again get my crosshair up and drag that down, and that'll give me the average for those other rows. If I click on the functions icon and click down here, there are all the different commands that you want to use, and there are tons of different formulae. They all come with a little bit of help that tells you how to use them. The obvious ones are the sum and average, count, maximum and so on, but there's a whole load of other ones. Another thing you can do is you can hand type in specific formulae and sums that you want it to carry out. So if I'm looking at my cake shop, let's click in cell F4. I'm going to start typing in a formula, which I just need to type in the equals sign. That tells Google Sheets that I'm starting a formula. If you look up the top here, you can see where the formula is starting to appear. Now I want to have cells E4 and C4 multiplied together. That's the amount of money we've made, and I want the cost times the quantity made. So I want B4 times D4. So C4 multiplied by, now you can't use an X, you've got to use the asterisk. So C4 multiplied by E4, and I'm going to close my bracket, minus, and open up some more brackets, D4, and I'm going to multiply that by B4, hit enter. And so we made £11 selling the chocolate cake. If I drag that formula down, and then if I take the total profit, that will be a sum of those cells. If I hit enter, we've made a total loss of £5.60. Okay, so let's look at conditional formatting. This allows me to change the colour of the cells based on the contents of each cell. So it's really good for things like student grades or test scores, where you want to flag up scores over a particular mark or below a particular mark, so you can see quite quickly which students are struggling, which students are doing very well. So I've got some student test scores here, just a small selection of test scores. I'm going to look at the total column, and I'm going to flag up from those two tests which students are doing well and which are not. So I'm going to take that column there, I'm going to go to format and conditional formatting. Now with conditional formatting selected, I can then set the rules that I want. So let's start with apply the range to these cells. I want greater than or equal to, in the values of formulas I can type in there 40, and I want that to be like a brighter green. Let's say green. Now I'm going to click add another rule, and I can then do less than or equal to 20, and 20 will be the one where maybe these are students that are struggling. And add one more rule. You may not need to, because you've done your top or bottom, but let's just go for completion's sake. I'm going to go for is between 21 and 39. I'll make that yellow. I'm going to click on done, and then you can see here are my three rules, and these are my cells, yellow, green or red. You can see very quickly which students are struggling in a test and which are doing quite well. On the conditional formatting rules here, if I wish to amend these, I can just click on any of those blocks and I can change it, and I can delete by clicking on the dustbin if I want to get rid of a rule. If I want to have, now I could use this data to show an example of how you would enter in a chart as well. So if I go and I'll highlight this set of data here, these three columns here with the headings and the names down the side, and if I just go to insert and chart, then it'll spit out a chart for me, which I can move and I can resize. And then if I right click, I can edit the chart style. If I click on chart style, I can then choose the colours. I can change the themes if I want to have different kinds of font style. I can change the titles here, I can change the series, and so on, whether I want grid lines or not. On the setup, I can change the type of chart. If I don't want a column chart, but I actually wanted a line graph with lines, then I can do that. I can choose any kind of graph I want from here. Again, if you've used things like Excel, then you'll be used to the kind of range of graphs that you can produce. Google Sheets will be able to produce the same kinds of charts. Now, one final thing that I've been doing with this spreadsheet is I've got multiple tabs open within the same sheet, so I haven't got to have lots of different files. If I want to have related information, I can open up another tab. So if you notice down the bottom of my screen, I've got my different tabs, and each tab is a different spreadsheet contained within the overall file. So if I click on the plus, I can create a new sheet. Let's click on add sheet, and that'll do that for me. Here's my new blank sheet. It's got no name yet, so let's rename that. Just call it scores for now. I could, to help it easier for me to find them, I can right click on here and I can change the colour, so I can set up different colours of my sheets if I want to, just to make it easier to spot them. So I might have red for raw data and green for charts and graphs and so on if I wanted to. And it just puts a little line down the bottom there to make life easier for you to see. Now, because we're in G Suite for Education, the usual rules apply in terms of how you would share these. So it's very simple to take one of these Google Sheets and share it with other students or share it with colleagues. Go to the top right corner where the share button is, you click on share, and you can enter like before, the email address, the people you want to share it with, or you can just copy the link, change the permissions, and then email that link to people, and they can click on the link and access this file. So you've got students doing their own little experiments on their own tables, but one Google Sheet that's set up to collect all their information. So each group could be entering in their data. You can have one spreadsheet that would take in a column for each group and work out an average, or you could have tabs set up for each of the groups and they could all be entering their data, and then each group can see what other groups have got as well. If you was doing a thing where you were taking information about their hair colour, eye colour, height and so on, again you can have one Google Sheet set up and each group could be measuring themselves and taking their data and entering it on the master spreadsheet. That used to be a real pain to do, and when you weren't collaborating you had to have one computer maybe where everybody would enter in the information onto that one computer. Now you can share this out and they can all access it in the same way. So that's Google Sheet. There's a lot more that this can do, and maybe we'll have some sort of more advanced sessions in the future looking at formulae in more detail and looking at graphs and charts as well. It's simple to get started with. If you're used to Excel, then the transition isn't great. It's doing pretty much the same things, and the similar features will be in here if you want to use them. So I hope you found that video useful. I'll be doing more videos on other aspects of G Suite in the future, so please check in. But if you like these videos, please subscribe. Please click the bell to be notified when I add new ones. I've got some more videos to come. Until then, thanks for watching. See you again soon.